All right, guys, so we're going to be talking about the birth of the Roman Republic. Now, not the empire yet, but the Republic. And so we get a lot of our current U.S. society ways in which we structure our world, really based on not necessarily just Greek, though that is a part of that, but really Roman stuff. And so a lot of the terms that we use, Senate, we'll talk about that here in just a second. So there's a lot of things that I just want to hit the highlights of the Roman Republic. All right, so here we go. The early Roman Republic. All right, so the central question is, how did the government of the Roman Republic become more democratic in its decision making? And so it was a morphine, it was a movement towards something else. So let's just talk about a couple things, all right? So the Roman contribution, you have the aqueducts, sanitation, roads, irrigation, education, medicine, public order. It spread out. And it's kind of interesting because a good portion of Christianity was spread because of the Roman movement out. Obviously, you got the Caesars that come about. Now, remember, the early Roman Republic, you're not necessarily talking about Christianity at this time, but you are talking about the Jerusalem being controlled by different people groups, and the merging, the morphing of some of the feelings towards the Roman people at this time. And so, but they definitely built a lot of cool things. So the basic geography of it, you've got Italy here, Sicily, and some other areas. You got the peninsula, which is the midway point of the Mediterranean. Rome is located halfway between the Alps and Italy's southern tip. So you got the Alps right in here, the Tiber River, the kind of woven into the legend of Romulus and Remus, the two brothers that were raised by a she-wolf, and one killed the other. And fewer mountains and less rugged than Greece, so definitely a lot more open land. And very, very fertile, lots of agrarian society as well. So the early settlers, you got the Etruscans, okay, you got the Greeks, of course, and then the Latins, and they built the original settlement of Rome, and that's, of course, where you get the Latin language, obviously Greek language and Latin language. There are some similarities there as well. So the people, you got patrician, which are the wealthy landowners, and the plebeians or plebs were common farmers, artisans, merchants, and they made up the majority of the population. And then, of course, not talked about really in here, but you got the slave class, and there is quite a few slaves that are talked about, and there's things that we can discuss later on. There are some. Ben-Hur is a wonderful movie. That's an older movie that if you've ever watch Spartacus, another movie that really talks a lot about how slaves were used and unfortunately abused in that time period as well. So the Roman Republic established in 509 BCE. So a lot of different things going on. It looks like I couldn't my little e's as different there. What is a republic? Well, remember, the U.S. is a republic. It's not necessarily a democracy. All right. So democracy is where everybody has a voice, a say. So remember, we've talked about this before. Democracy is everybody has a democratic vote across the board. It's majority rule kind of deal. Republic is more everybody has a vote. The power rests with citizens to vote for their leaders, and they are representative. So it's a representative democracy instead of a democracy, and that's what a republic is, okay? So you got different branches of government. You got the Senate, which are the lawmakers, 300 members. They propose laws, had the lifetime term, which that there's some stuff in there. And they nominated consuls. And now these consuls are a little bit more. And one of the actually a higher grouping of people, but they're nominated by the Senate. The two officials, 1-year term, and just the two officials to keep the other balance in check. And of course, there's lots of wheelings and dealings and things that happened during this time. And of course, during wartime, there's one that chosen to act as a dictator. Where have we heard that word before? All right, so this is kind of the idea here. So this the plebeians and the patricians make up a great amount of this, and then you have the group that comes up together to hopefully represent the people accurately. All right, so the Roman Senate, look, it's in a circular format. U.S. Senate, circular format. Wonder where we get that. And then we've got the 12 tables, right? There really wasn't a written law. Now we talked about Hammurabi's code before, but the whole idea of a written law code is it's just more of an assumed, it's more of a suggestion. But these right here are 12 tables or tablets that were created, and in essence, they had the law that basically said all free citizens had the right to protection of the law, and there was a written in stone, literally in stone, where that talks about. So it's kind of where we get our term, written in stone. So the dictator is another term that kind of comes out of this time, and it's elected during a crisis, and is only supposed to rule for 6 months. Now, guys, that didn't happen. You know as well as I do that it probably went a little bit more than that. All right, it could be appointed by a consul or even a magistrate, and had absolute authority. And of course, when their authority ended, a lot of them wanted to continue it. Well, that wasn't always a good thing. All right, so the plebeians, there was a rise in the tribunes were elected to protect the plebeian interest. They had veto power. This is where the veto comes in. It's a Latin word meaning I forbid it. And then last but not least, so the legacy of the tribunes or tribunes, you got a tribunal, right? This is a grouping of, it's basically a law court. They didn't have to use war or revolution to gain power. They just kind of this check and balance on the power. And so that's the whole idea of the start of the Roman Republic, and it leads obviously into the Roman Empire as well. But they get a lot of their philosophies and the thoughts from, of course, the Greeks, and so there's just now a merging of cultures that come together and grow and morph into this. So just a quick overview of this time period.